It is 6 a.m. and right now on Denver 7 News.
These are our darkest days as a nation. They are our darkest days as a state.
Colorado hospitals are on the brink.
We are increasing our number of beds that we have available for COVID patients really on a day-to-day basis.
With the holidays right around the corner, a new warning from Governor Polis this morning.
A half dozen school districts pull the plug on in-person learning today.
Tens of thousands of Colorado students will not be back in their classrooms until 2021. We'll tell you how families are reacting to these decisions.
Plus, cities are doing what they can to lessen costs for struggling restaurants. As Denver Restaurant Week continues this week, a good excuse to help out your favorite spots right now. Good Monday morning to you. Thanks for starting your week with us. I'm Brian Sanders.
And I'm Molly HENDRICKSON. Glad to have you here with us. We start with Denver 7's Katie LaSalle in the Weather Center. Katie, we're starting the week with unseasonably warm weather.
Yes. 60s and 70s for highs return today through at least Thursday. Then our next storm system isn't set to arrive until the end of the week, so very dry, quiet weather pattern for Colorado. As we start this Monday, temperatures right now are in the upper 30s, so still jacket weather out there, 32 degrees in Greeley right now, but it's not nearly as cold as what we saw yesterday, where we were off in the teens early on. Your hourly planner for today, temperatures will be in the low 60s across the metro area. Will stay that way through about sunset, 4 o'clock, 60 degrees, with overnight lows gradually dropping down to the 30s. So 64 for a high in downtown Denver, mid 60s in Highlands Ranch, upper 40s to low 40s from Grand Lake up through Estes Park. Now we have even warmer weather on the way. I'll take you through the full forecast and what that storm looks like for the weekend as well, coming up in just a bit.
And we look pretty good here for the most part around the roadways. A little bit of construction over here on the east side of town along the southbound side of I-225. They're working in there. Now the 3 main lanes are open. It's that exit ramp lane that would take you down to Parker Road that remains closed. Take a look from the camera over there at I-225 and Parker Road. Headlights of the folks that are heading south, and so far so good as you're making your way down that way. And no big issues for us really across the roadway. So the construction is just ahead of that. And you can see on the travel time, it's just an extra minute or two down from I-Lift, Mississippi to the Denver Tech Center, but really I'm not going to call for an alternate route, anything like that. I-70 looks good, 270, the north side looks pretty good, so nice and quiet for us right now.
9,300 new cases of COVID-19 were reported by the state over the weekend. Yesterday, 4,184 new cases were reported. The numbers have reached the point where a stay-at-home order could be put into place, but Governor Polis has stopped short of doing so. He instead is encouraging everyone to work remotely if they can to reduce contact with other people. Cases across the country have now topped 11 million.
This graph behind me shows the hospital beds in use remains especially concerning for health officials. 1,417 beds are currently in use by people who have or are suspected of having the coronavirus, and that is a high for Colorado during the pandemic. Governor Polis has asked for hospitals to have a plan for how they'll increase hospital bed capacity by 50% by the end of the week. The Combined Hospital Transfer Center is also activated, allowing hospitals to share resources.
They can call their buddy hospital and effect a transfer quickly and easily. Kind of one call does it all.
With every state right now seeing a spike in COVID cases, hospital workers cannot be shared across state lines like we saw in the spring. But there is promise for a vaccine to come soon. Moderna announced within the past hour that its vaccine is up 94% effective. That is now 2 vaccines with a shot at getting approval for widespread distribution. Pfizer announced last week its vaccine is 90% effective.
Schools are not taking any chances. Thousands of students start online learning today across the Front Range. Denver 7's Nicole Brady joins us from Golden High School. And Nicole, Jefferson County is one of the districts not returning until at least after winter break.
That's right, Molly. And for middle and high school students like here at Golden High School, this isn't as big of a change. They've already been hybrids, so they're going fully remote now. But still, this full remote shift for all schools, elementary, all these districts, really it just makes us think of the spring when this was happening. And so I want to take you through the districts that are doing this now all across the metro area. Adams 12, Boulder Valley Schools, Greeley, Littleton Schools, and Weld County Schools are all going back to remote learning starting today or tomorrow. A few districts decided to wait till the end of this week. Douglas County, Poudre Schools, and Thompson Valley Schools will stay in person through the end of this week, and then Thanksgiving break is next week. And then some schools were already remote. Aurora, Cherry Creek, Denver, and Westminster, they've already been remote and decided they're going to go ahead and stay remote until after winter break. Now, the reaction to these decisions has been mixed. I know there are families and teachers that are very happy with the decision to go back to remote learning and feel safer this way, but there are other families who want their kids in person. And it's worth pointing out that Governor Polis this month did declare that schools were considered critical businesses and they were allowed to stay open even if there was a stay-at-home order in effect. But obviously, schools have decided to make the cautious choice here. Some families, like I said, not happy about that, and some parents have told me they plan to rally at the state capitol this afternoon. We're live in Jeffco. Nicole Brady, Denver7.
Restaurants have found a hard time trying to rebound from the pandemic, in part because of added fees from delivery service apps. But cities are doing what they can to help out. Denver7's Micah Smith is live. And Micah, Aurora is considering a cap on those fees.
Molly, this is similar to what we saw in Denver a few weeks ago. Aurora City Council member Curtis Gardner recently introduced a bill that would temporarily cap delivery fees for third-party vendors until the end of March. We expect to be spending even more time at home during the winter months, and some city council members think a fee cap will provide some relief to restaurants that will be depending on these delivery apps. Right now, some third-party apps charge up to 30% for delivery. And for businesses that have tried to keep operating costs low and have never really offered delivery services until they had to because of the pandemic, this is another economic blow. In October, we talked to the owner of Mango House, Jasmine Syrian Food, who told us in September he filled 16 orders through Grubhub, which added up to $616, but due to fees, he only took home $391. This new bill would cap fees in Aurora at 15%. Last month, Denver also decided to cap third-party delivery app fees at 15%. A final vote on the bill is expected during tonight's Aurora City Council meeting. Molly, back to you.
All right, thank you, Micah. The City of Denver's Fall Restaurant Week continues until Sunday. It was added to encourage you to eat out more, and there are 3 price points at $25, $35, and $45. You can either dine in or take out, and you can find a list of participating restaurants right now on thedenverchannel.com.
President-elect Joe Biden is focused on helping businesses rebound to some sort of normalcy. Despite the Trump administration not cooperating with Biden's transition team, the president-elect is moving forward with his economic plan. Our political reporter, Joe St. George, joins us from Washington, D.C. this morning. And Joe, good morning to you. We hope to learn more about Biden's recovery plan today.
Yeah, good morning to you, Brian. And we know the broad strokes of this, right? President-elect certainly supports another round of stimulus checks, certainly supports relief for student loans, relief for businesses. But to some degree, the devil is in the details. And the big detail we don't have is who's controlling the United States Senate. Remember, there are 2 big runoff elections in Georgia on January 5th. If Democrats win both of them, Democrats would control all branches. They control the House, the Senate, the White House. President-elect Biden's economic plan would be easily passed. But if Republicans win one of those races, negotiation would have to take place. So to some degree, the president-elect may be announcing ideas today, but we won't really know until early January whether or not those ideas can actually come to fruition.
And that is the economic side. Biden's team also has a COVID response plan as well, and we understand it's similar to Colorado's model of using a dial for restrictions.
Yeah, you're right, Brian, and people in Colorado are familiar with a dial and not a switch, right? Governor Polis said when restrictions or a lack of restrictions, it would be dialed in. Mayor Hancock in Denver made a similar analogy, and that is what the Biden administration is stressing as well, in that any new mandate, such as a nationwide face mask mandate for your face, for everyone's face, everything would be dialed in as opposed to just automatically put on. Of course, the big debate is whether or not Republican governors, Trump-supporting governors in places like Florida, would they comply with those orders? Well, time will tell.
Joe, you touched on the Senate a little bit earlier, but one race that we haven't talked about much because of the attention on the president is Senator-elect John Hickenlooper's defeat of Cory Gardner and his transition into Congress. What steps do freshman members of Congress have to go through?
Yeah, he's going to have to learn some rules, and the first big one that former governor, now Senator-elect John Hickenlooper is going to have to learn when he comes to Washington and is sworn in early January is how to be a legislator. Remember, this is a guy who's been an executive his whole life. He was a governor, he was mayor of Denver, he was a business owner. So being a legislator is very different than being an executor. He has no individual power himself. He'll have to work with others to get anything done for the people of Colorado. And ultimately, who's in control of the U.S. Senate will dictate how much power Senator-elect Hickenlooper actually has. So time will tell with that, but certainly he'll have to learn a few new tricks when he comes here to the Capitol in the coming weeks.